Hello everyone and welcome to week 7 of my Christmas Tag Tuesday series. Today I'm going to be sharing 7 tags that I have created using one pattern paper, and I'm going to be using the buildable tags, which I've used quite a bit throughout this series, but I'm going to use this rounded top one and the little tag topper, the circle, and they're going to have a white daisy card base, but then I'm treating some of them to create more of a beach type scene. And as you can see from the paper here, I'm using this tropical collection called Deck the Palms, which is available until the end of December. When I looked at this collection, the paper that I fell in love with the most was this wash and this stripe. I love the wash look on the stripe and also this pink wash here, this pattern as well. The leaves are right on point. I love all of these leaves and everything. And the actual collection is designed to be either a tropical Christmas with the flamingos and the gifts, or a regular tropical vacation. Of course, I celebrate Christmas in summer and I have some girlfriends that really love flamingos, so they are going to be the recipients of these tags. And this is the paper that I'm using to create the tags, and as I said, I have made 7 of them out of one sheet, and I could make some more out of what I have left over. And you might think me a little bit crazy, but I sat and fussy cut out some of these images. I mainly cut out the trees because I love these light strands going up the trunks of the palm trees. I cut out the flamingos and the gifts, and then ideas started flowing, so then I started fussy cutting out the leaves and some of the other elements on here as well. And this is what I've got left from doing this. So I just sat there with my scissors while I was chatting on the phone and did fussy cutting and piled them all up to create the tags. So I'm going to finish 3 of these tags off on camera with you and show you how I've done them. There's a bit of layering involved. And then I've also got another 4 tags to show you of the scenes. So hang around till the end of the video to see all of those tags completed. So basically I started with building scenes with the flamingos, and then I decided that I wanted to use the little ornaments and things to make a different style tag. This is one that I've made using the leaves, and I'll talk about what happened with this tag later. There was a little bit of a disaster, but I think I've covered off on that. So what I'm going to do is build up the colour to make the scene here. Now I've got everything placed on my tag roughly where I want it. So I'm just going to move that aside for the moment and do the Distress ink blending first and then set that aside to dry. So I'm going to use antique linen, vintage photo, and then I've got a couple of other distress oxides, tumble glass and broken china. And what I'm going to do is start with the antique linen and bring that in at the bottom of the tag and start blending that up. And then I'm going to come in with vintage photo and come off the edge a little bit just to add some depth. Then I'm going to come in with tumble glass and start building up the sky area. So while I'm doing this, it's sort of like I'm creating a beach type scene for my flamingos and my gifts. Now I'm coming in with broken china and just putting a little bit at the top. And what I'm going to do before I blend the tumble glass back into this is come in with my antique linen and blend that piece out there, and then I'm going to come back in with tumble glass and blend again these colours. Because tags are a small area to do, it really doesn't take long to blend these colours in together, and I love the end result of what it looks like, especially when we start building up a paper scene. So that's all I'm going to do for those. So I'll just pack all this away. Before I clean my mat off, I'm going to bring in my clear shimmer brush, and I'm going to squeeze a little bit out onto here, and then I'm just going to tap a heap of this onto here because I want them all nice and sparkly. And I'm hoping that the camera is picking that up. I'm doing a lot of splashes. It doesn't really use terribly much, but I really want them to have a nice sparkle to these tags for the ones that I'm putting the flamingos on and the palm trees. And I'm hoping that the camera is picking up just how sparkly that is. So I'm going to set this one aside to dry for a little bit. You can see I've already prepared the backs of these tags. I've used a sentiment from the Jubilee crew. This was still available at the time that I made this video, so I will link to that below if it's still on the website. These are very cute little characters, but I love this scripty font and the fun of it, and I think it goes really well with these types of cards. So this is one that I have already prepared, and I'm doing a little bit of paper layering with my cutting. So you can see that I've cut out 3 of this flamingo with the gifts on top, and then I'm layering the same images up on top of each other. So it gives a great paper layered look and a bit of dimension to this tag. As I said, these are for friends who love this sort of thing, and I know that they will appreciate these tags, and they may even put them into scrapbook albums later on when they go on a holiday or their Christmas events. So I'm lining that up so that that fits directly on top. I've used our thin 3D foam tape, and with the leaves that I have cut out, I have put some flat onto the card just with liquid adhesive, and then every now and then I've popped one up onto some foam tape, and then I'll get my scissors and I'm going to go around the edges and trim off the excess, and this gives a really neat finish to the tag when you do this. And it's all part of building up the scene for the front of the tag. So you can see how cool that looks, all trimmed off, and you can actually see the layers of the tags. This is something that we did a lot when I first started making cards and things like that. We would stack the images up, and it's something that I haven't done for quite some time, but layering them all on top of each other, it gives a really good depth. And then all I need to do is attach the back to that and put some twine on it, and my tag is done. For this one here, I have laid all the baubles out, and then I've adhered them with liquid glue, and I'm just going to finish this off on camera, and you'll see how quick it is. I have one of the Close to My Heart pickup tools on its way to me now. It should be here any day, but I did have one of these jewel pickers in my stash, and you don't have to just use them for sequins. You can use them when you're picking up small paper elements as well, and mine is starting to lose its stick, which is another reason why I've bought the Close to My Heart one. And I have just put these on randomly over my tag, and they are not all sticking the same way. I've rotated them, and then I just need a little bit of liquid adhesive to adhere them to my tag, and then I'm going to do the same thing that I did before and trim off the edges. And when you're fussy cutting things, the best way to do it is to rotate the paper, not the scissors. And then what I'm going to do while that is drying, because liquid glue does take a little while to dry, is I'm just going to put a very simple Merry Christmas over top of that. And I'm using the foam from the inside of a shaker ornament, and I've basically cut up the sections with my scissors to give me some skinnier pieces. Now I'm going to tuck that so that it looks like they're sitting underneath my Merry Christmas, And then once again, I'm going to turn this over and trim off all the excess with my microchip scissors. I think that looks really sweet and very cool for a Christmas tag. So if you're doing fussy cutting and you're looking at a piece of paper that you think might be a little bit too busy, or you're not going to use that pattern if it's got a lot of images in a set, you like everything else in the set but you're not sure you're going to scrap with it, think about making tags from them, because they really do make sweet tags. And of course, all the tags that I've been making during this series you can convert into a card as well. So let's build up this scene. This has dried off a little bit now. So the first thing I'm going to adhere is my palm tree. That's the thing at the back of the scene. And then the next thing I'm going to adhere is the flamingo. But I want the palm tree to actually be raised, but I don't want the bottom part here to be raised. So I'm going to use 3D foam tape just on the palm leaves. So once again, I'm just going to cut this so that I've got some small strips. So I've got all my foam tape just on the leaves section, and then liquid adhesive at the bottom, and I'm just going to use this as a bit of a guide because I do want the bottom of that palm tree to be covered by the gifts. So I've just put foam tape on the top section of the flamingo, and the gifts are going to cover up the legs. So I'm doing the same sort of thing that I did with the tree. And I'm going to put the flamingo here. And then with the gifts, the two larger gifts I'm putting down with liquid glue. And they're going to run off the edge of the tag, because I love creating a scene and have it look like it's still continuing even though the tag area is finished. And then a little bit of foam tape for both of these gifts. So this one's going to go here. So I've got these two gifts here, but I've also got part of this gift where it was up against the edge of the paper, but I've saved that because I'm going to put this one over top like a layer like we did with the flamingo before, to carry on the scene. And that's looking pretty cute like that. I'm not putting anything on the top section of these because I want that sparkly sort of sky to show. And I'm just going to quickly trim out. And you can see I haven't trimmed very much off the outside areas, but it just completes the tag, I think, if you do something like this when you're building a scene. So I'm going to adhere all of these. I'm going to clean up, and then I'm going to bring in the other scene tags that I've created with this Deck the Palms papers. Here are the three tags that I just finished off with you on camera. I do love how the flamingos and the scenes look. This flamingo surrounded by the leaves, this one at his own little beach party for Christmas, and then stripping everything away and just putting the baubles onto a white tag and stacking a couple of gifts on there. I really like how this looks. So the other scenes that I have created, I've done a couple of landscape ones with the flamingos. And this one has several of the palm trees, and then with the dimension on this one, I haven't done the paper layering like I did with this, stacking the same image up on top of itself. I've just used one of the flamingos and scattered the gifts along the edge of the tag. This one here, I've done the layering with 3 lots of flamingos. I'm hoping you can see what I've done here on camera. And I've used our thin 3D foam tape and just cut it into strips and put it underneath each of those flamingos so that it's a gorgeous dimension on here. And then a little 2 candy canes to create a heart for the scene. This one here is just the palm trees, and I've double layered this palm tree, so there's 2 of them under there. The same sort of thing I did with this bauble I've done on the next tag, and I've just used the leaves. and I had a little bit of a disaster with this one. As you know, I quite often put ink pads on top for the glue to adhere, and what I was doing with this one was I separated it out, and when I picked it up I didn't realize that when I separated it I actually put the ink pad on top of my tag, and I thought I'd actually ruined my tag because it was Sundance, the one where the ink went straight onto the tag at the top. But what I did to try and correct that was I thought, well, I may as well just go with the flow. There's no point just having part of it inked up and throwing it away. There was a lot of work with the fussy cutting. So I got the ink pad and I just dabbed it on to create a little bit of distressing on the edge of the leaves, and I really love how it looked. And then I went around the edges of the tag with the Sundance ink to make it look like that was what I intended after all. So I actually really love how that turned out with a little bit of the Sundance ink on there, even though I was going for a crisp white finish. So if you have a disaster in the craft room, try and embrace it, go with the flow, and just see what will happen, because it would have been awful to have to get rid of this tag after all the work with the fussy cutting. And I love how sparkly and shiny they are, how tropical these ones are with their little beach scenes. These are going to look so fun on Christmas gifts. I will put some still shots up at the end of the video. Next week is week 8 for the Tuesday tag series for Christmas, and it's actually the last Tuesday before Christmas Day. I can't believe how quickly that has come around, and I have some very quick, simple tags to share with you next week. So I hope you come back and join me next time. Thank you so much for watching. Happy crafting, and bye for now.